we're going to go over the 6.1 practice set, Graphing Inequalities, from the CK-12 ebook. So number one, write the inequality represented by the graph. Okay, so we can see that we have a solid point here at positive 1, and it's all values greater than that. So I can say that x has to be greater than or equal to, because it's solid, practice 1. X is greater than or equal to 1. All the values greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so the next one, number 2, write the inequality represented by the graph. This is an open circle, so that means we're going to use a less than or greater than sign for this. And in this case, it's all values less than -10, so we're going to use the less than sign. So I can say that x is less than -10. Number 3, write the inequality. So this time, it's very similar to number 2, except it's a closed circle and not an open circle here. So I include the value of -10, so it's going to be x is less than or equal to -10. Number 4, it's an open circle and it's all values greater than 30, so I say x is greater than 30. Okay, let's look at the next set. Okay, graph each inequality on the number line and label the graph. Okay, so the graph here doesn't have any labels on it, so we need to put some numbers in here. Okay, so -35 is here. I need an open circle, and I need to include all values to the left because it's less than. Okay, next one, I'll do this in blue. X is greater than -17. Alright, so I go to 17, put an open circle, and it's going to be all values greater, so that's to the right. Number 7, x is greater than or equal to 20. 18. So this is going to be greater than 20, greater than or equal to 20, so I need to include 20 with a closed point and everything to the right. X is less than or equal to 3. Solve each inequality and graph the solution on the number line. Label the graph. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is solve for the variable, in this case x. I need to get x by itself. So I need to undo subtract 5, so I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I get x is less than 40. And I need the points, all values less than 40. So I need an open circle here at 40 and all values to the left. Number 10, x plus 15 is greater than or equal to -60. I need to undo adding 15, so I'm going to subtract 15 to both sides. And I get x is greater than or equal to 45. Closed circle at 45. And all points greater than, so that would be to the right. Next one, x minus 2 is less than or equal to 1. So I need to undo subtract 2 by adding 2 to both sides, and I get x is less than or equal to 3. So I need a closed point at 3 and all values less than that, so that's to the left. Number 12, I need to get x by itself first, so I'm going to add 8 to both sides, and I get x is greater than negative 12. So I go to negative 12 on my number line. So I want to go to negative 12. It doesn't include negative 12 because it's got to be greater than. So I would do an open circle and everything to the right. 13. X plus 11 is greater than 13. I need to undo add 11 by subtracting it to both sides, and I get x is greater than 2. So that's an open circle at 2, and it's all values greater than, so it's to the right. Okay, so I think you're getting the hang of these. I'm just going to quickly wrap up 14, 15, and 16 here for you. You can follow the math. Okay, and we're done with that set. 17 through 20, we're going to solve the inequality and graph it again, but this time we have to either multiply or divide both sides to solve for x, whereas before we added or subtracted. So how do I get x by itself here? What's 3 doing to x? It's multiplying. So how do I undo multiply? I divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I get x is less than or equal to 2. It's going to be a closed circle, and all values less than 2. This is to the left. Number 18. So 5 is dividing x, and I want to get x by itself. So how do I undo divide 5? Well, I multiply by 5 to both sides. So 5 times x divided by 5, the 5's are going to cancel here because I just undid that operation. So I get x is greater than, so negative 3/10 times 5, I can write this as 5 over 1. I can multiply this first, but I can also simplify it. So 10 and 5 have a common factor of 5. So I can take a 5 out of top and bottom, and I get negative 3/2 times 1 over 1, which is just negative 3/2. So my graph here, negative 3/2 is negative 1.5. I want to write it as a decimal. So here I think I'll do 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. I'll skip every other one to get a half. So I'm at negative 1.5 would be here. It's an open circle because it doesn't include the value, and it's everything greater. Number 19. Okay, so with number 17 and 18, we were multiplying and dividing by positive numbers. Now when I have to multiply or divide by negative numbers, like number 19 and number 20, we have to be careful, because when I multiply or divide by a negative, I'm saying I'm changing the sign of the inequality, because I've just said everything's going to be the opposite now because I've changed the negative. So if I divide by a negative 10 on this side to get rid of it, I have to do it to the right side. So negative 10 divided by negative 10 cancels, so I get x. And now over here I get zeros that cancel, but this 25 divided by negative 1 becomes a negative 25. now I have to change this sign. So it said greater than, now it's less than. X is less than negative 20. I don't include negative 25, so it's an open circle, and it's everything to the left. Okay, number 20. X over negative 7 is greater than or equal to negative 5. So how do I undo divide by negative 7? I can multiply. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 7. So that gives me x on the left. On the right, I have a negative 5 times a negative 7. That gives me a positive 35. But now I have to change the sign. So instead of being greater than or equal to, it's going to be less than or equal to. Okay? Close circle at 35. And everything to the left. Let's take a look at this for a second. If I were to put 0 in for this problem right here, I've got x over negative 7 is greater than or equal to negative 5. So 0 is definitely on this side. 0 is over there somewhere. If I put 0 in here, I get 0 divided by negative 7 is greater than negative 5. 0 divided by negative 7 is 0. Is 0 greater than negative 5? Yes. Okay, so we shaded the right direction here. We can do the same with number 19. 0 in this case is over here. 0 is in that direction because this is going increasingly negative. So if I put 0 in for this problem, I get negative 10 x is greater than 250. So let's put 0 in here for x. Negative 10 times 0 is greater than 250. 0, so negative 10 times 0 is 0. 0 is greater than 250. No. That's not true. 0 is not included in this solution. So you can see we didn't shade this side. This is a no. We have to shade the other side. So I'm just showing you how we can do a quick check here to make sure that we shaded the right direction, because we have to be careful whenever we're multiplying, dividing by negatives, the sign changes. If we didn't change this sign, we would have shaded the wrong direction there. Okay, 21 through 25. Solve each multi-step inequality. Hint, distribute, add like terms, and solve for the variable. Okay, 21. X minus 5 is greater than 2x plus 3. All right, so first of all, on the left side, are there any terms that we can combine? No. On the right side, no. So let's now get our variables together, our x's together, and let's get our constant terms together, negative 5 and 3. So what can we do? Well, I could subtract 2x to both sides, and I could add 5 to both sides. And that's going to give us x minus 2x is negative x, 5's are gone, greater than 8. Because these are going to cancel. These are going to cancel. So now how do I solve for a negative x? I have to divide by a negative 1. Remember, whenever I divide by a negative, I have to change the sign. So this becomes less than negative 8. And that's my answer. Next one, 22. Okay, so here we have a case where we should distribute first. Distribute the 2 to the x and the negative 3. So I get 2x minus 6 is less than or equal to 3x minus 2. So now let's get our terms together. I want to bring the 3x over to the left. I could do the other way. I could bring the 2x to the right and the negative 2 to the left. It doesn't matter. I'm going to subtract 3x. And I'm going to add 6. So now I have 2x minus 3x is negative x is less than, these cancel, negative 2 plus 6 is a 4. Now I need to get rid of the negative. X, now I have to flip the sign, is greater than negative 4. 23. X divided by 3 is less than x plus 7. So I suggest that you first get rid of this fraction. What can we do? What can we do to get rid of the fraction on the left side? I've got x over 3 is less than x plus 7. How can I undo this divide 3? Well, I can multiply it to both sides. Now if I multiply it, the left side cancels the 3's. For the right side, I have to be careful. I have to distribute this in the entire quantity of x plus 7. So I get x is less than 3x plus 21. So why don't I, this time, let's say I'll subtract 3x to both sides. We need to get our x terms together. X minus 3x is negative 2x is less than 21. Now I need to get rid of the negative 2 by dividing it to both sides. Now this is a negative, so we have to be careful. It's going to flip the sign, and I get negative 21 over 2, or negative 10.5. And there's our answer for that. (24). Okay, so we have a few things going on here. I've got two fractions on each side of the inequality. I have a number outside of a quantity that you might think we could distribute that. We could cross multiply to get rid of these denominators. I think the simplest thing to do first is we can either distribute the 3, or we could simplify the 3 and the 12, because 3 has a common factor in both 3 and 12. So why don't we do that first? Let's simplify 3 and 12. So that gives me 1 and 4. So now I have 1 times x minus 4 over 4 is less than 2x over 3. Well, really I don't need to write this 1 out in front, so I can get rid of that. Now what do we do? Well, we can cross multiply. Basically, I'm saying I'm multiplying 4 to both sides, and these 4's cancel. And then on the other side here, I'm multiplying 3 to both sides, and the 3's cancel. That's what cross multiplying means. So I've got 3 times x minus 4 on the left side is less than or equal to, and on the right side I have 2x times 4. So now I need to distribute the 3 on the left side. 3x minus 12 is less than, and I need to multiply here, so I get 8x. Now why don't we bring the 3x to the left by subtracting it to both sides. Bring it from the left to the right. So that gives me negative 12 on the left is less than or equal to 5x, or I can say 5x is greater than or equal to negative 12. So now I need to divide 5 to both sides to get rid of it, and I get x is greater than or equal to negative 12 fifths. The other way we can write this, if I wanted to write the x on the left, I know x is greater than or equal to negative 12 fifths. I could write it as x is greater than or equal to negative 12 fifths. Sometimes it's nicer to write the variable first. These both are correct. Okay, 25. So we have fractions, we have distributing. We can't really do anything with this fraction yet, so why don't we just distribute first to multiply inside the quantity, and also 6 on this side. So 2 times x over 4 would be 2x over 4 plus 6 is greater than 6x minus 6. 2 and the 4 simplify here. So I get x over 2 plus 6 is greater than 6x minus 6. So we need to get rid of this 2, and we need to get rid of this 6, and we need to combine our x's. So why don't we first subtract 6 to both sides. So now I've got x over 2 is greater than 6x minus 12. Now how can I get rid of this 2? Well, I can multiply it to both sides. But if I multiply it to the right side, I have to multiply it to all the terms here. I have to distribute it. So the 2's cancel now on the left side, giving me x is greater than 6x times 2 is 12x. Negative 12 times 2 is negative 24. Now I can subtract 12x to both sides because I need to combine my x terms. X minus 12x is negative 11x is greater than negative 24. Now I need to get rid of multiply negative 11, so I can divide it. So these cancel. X and 24 divided by 11 become negative 11 becomes a positive 24 over 11. But don't forget, whenever we multiply or divide by a negative, we change the sign, less than. And that's okay. Graph